Today, I will explain the prehistoric parasite that enters human bodies, spreading rapidly. Movie name, The Thaw. 99% of people watched my video but did not subscribe to my channel. Please support me because one movie takes 1 day to complete. This is very hard work. Okay, sit back and relax. At the beginning of the movie, we see Dr. Crippen hunts a lone polar bear in the melting polar caps, alongside his team, Jane, Edward, and Nudie. After Nudie shoots the bear, he also discovers the remains of a woolly mammoth underneath the melting part of the ice, much to the group's delight. Meanwhile, ecology students watch a documentary by Dr. Crippen about his cause, and the professor announces that some of them will have the opportunity to join the scientists' research team for a while. The chosen students are Adam, Ling, and Federico. On the other hand, Dr. Crippen calls his daughter, Evelyn, wanting her to follow him to his base. However, because of their strained relationship caused by Dr. Crippen's inability to make it to her mother's funeral, Evelyn wants nothing to do with him. Although he tries to convince Evelyn that it's important to their cause, his daughter doesn't share his sentiments. Evelyn reiterates that she doesn't care about global warming, but Dr. Crippen bribes her with her late mother's money if she comes. So, because of this, she ends up reconsidering. 2 days later, Bart, the helicopter pilot, gets a call from Dr. Crippen that Evelyn shouldn't come to his base anymore, but he doesn't give him more details. Jane, his assistant, asks Dr. Crippen whether he told the rest of the students not to come and to call for help instead, but the scientist lies and says yes despite having done differently. Jane also tells him that their team members who are still staying at the field aren't feeling so well. The students arrive at the heliport, but when Evelyn arrives, Bart immediately intercepts her as per Dr. Crippen's orders. However, Evelyn doesn't follow, angry that her father doesn't want to see her again, so she ignores Bart and gets in the chopper. On the way to the base, the group sees the melting ice caps, so they have a mini debate about how to solve the crisis and call people for action. Adam thinks that blowing up some things might change the way people think, and when Federico asks for Evelyn's opinion, she shares her sentiment that people are incapable of change, so they might as well just enjoy the place while they can. When they get to the research base, the group already thinks it's weird that nobody came to greet them. Additionally, there's no heating, running water, or electricity. Then, while Bart goes out to fix the generator, Adam leaves Ling and Federico alone to talk about their relationship troubles. Adam catches up to Evelyn, who's on her way to the lab to look for flashlights in case the generator doesn't work. But the stench of death fills their nose once they get inside, and when the lights suddenly turn on, they are surprised to see a dead polar bear on the workbench. Bart checks up on the two immediately, also bothered by the smell, but Adam takes out his camera to take a picture of the bear. Bart puts his arm over the bear to pose for the photo, and he suddenly flinches when a bug bites him. Bart's arm bleeds a bit, but Adam thinks it's just a flea bite. Before leaving the lab, Bart pulls Evelyn aside and tells her that he heard a gunshot in the distance while working on the generator, presumably coming from the field where her father is. Meanwhile, one of the team members, Nudie, has already died and is being buried by Edward. Worried about her father, Evelyn immediately calls the field station to look for him, but Jane is the one who answers it. Jane is immediately surprised to find out that Evelyn, as well as the students, are at the base, and although she tells Dr. Crippen's daughter that they're not supposed to be there, Evelyn is adamant about speaking to her father. Jane then hands the call to Dr. Crippen, who tells Evelyn to stay at the base no matter what, but she's just flabbergasted, thinking that her father doesn't want to see her. When the call ends, Jane confronts Dr. Crippen about them right away, asking why he didn't tell them not to come. However, Dr. Crippen just tells Jane to go lie down. Finally connecting the pieces that Dr. Crippen doesn't have the best intentions in mind, Jane shoots Dr. Crippen and hits him on the shoulder. Then, when Edward comes running after her with a knife, she shoots him in the chest. That night, while the rest of the group is sleeping, Federico and Ling make love to each other in their own room. Then, Federico panics when he sees a bug crawling towards their sleeping bag, admitting to having a phobia of bugs. He tells Ling that they should sleep in the other room, but Ling stays behind, thinking that Federico is overreacting. Later on, Evelyn wakes up to the sound of an ATV arriving at their base. She goes out to check it, waking up Adam and Bart in the process. Meanwhile, Adam notices that Bart's arm is getting worse. Outside, Evelyn calls out to her father, thinking he's the one that came for them. However, when she opens the helicopter, Jane's body falls limp in her arms, so she shouts for help, alerting Bart and Adam. On the other hand, Ling screams in shock, making Federico check on her, only to see her covered with bug bites. While Ling locks herself in the bathroom, they bring Jane to the bed. Federico checks on the two guys looking after Jane, asking if she's contagious, but Adam says it might be pneumonia. Nonetheless, they all agree that they should leave to look for help. Meanwhile, Evelyn tries contacting her dad again, but she receives no answers. Although the injured Dr. Kruppen is lying on the field, he still seems to be breathing. While everyone's packing up to go back to the chopper, Evelyn checks out Dr. Kruppen's camera that Adam found in Jane's belongings, but oddly enough, there's no tape. When they get to the chopper, they see that Jane sabotaged the helicopter's control panel. Federico suggests calling for another chopper, but Bart says it won't take him long to fix it, taking Jane's gun with him. On the other hand, Evelyn is getting more worried that something wrong is going on, so she tries to take the ATV to get to her father. Everyone else tries to stop her, but she's relentless until Ling notifies them that Jane can't breathe. They all return inside, seeing Jane vomit non-stop until she stops breathing. Evelyn attempts to resuscitate her, but Bart and Adam stop her immediately. Not knowing Jane's true cause of death, Federico orders everyone to seal off the room. Upset, Evelyn goes out to the ATV, so Adam follows her. Federico gets mad that the group is splitting up, but he still tells Bart that they'll take off as soon as he fixes the helicopter. Evelyn uses the GPS from the ATV to track the field station. They then investigate the premises and find the woolly mammoth inside one of the tents, seeing a nest of eggs thawing with it. When they look around the field, they find Edward's body as well as a freshly dug grave. Assuming that her father is the one buried, Evelyn desperately digs through the ground, but Adam stops and comforts her. Back at the base, Federico experiences pain as he pees with blood. Federico immediately confronts Ling about it, thinking he's caught a disease when he slept with her, but he apologizes right away when she suddenly throws up. As they comfort each other, they quickly realize that they must have caught the same infection that Jane had. Evelyn goes inside the base station when they get back, while Adam reports to Bart that everyone on the field is dead, shot by Jane. At the same time, Federico calls for another chopper to their location, and Evelyn checks up on Ling, who's groaning in the bathroom. Evelyn returns to Jane's room, trying to get through the seal, but Adam and Bart stop her. However, she desperately pleads for them to let her in, asking them to trust her. Inside, she checks underneath Jane's clothes and sees that her body is infested with the same eggs that they saw from the mammoth. Then, when she inspects the body closer, she sees the same bug that bit Ling come out of Jane's eye, concluding that it might be some sort of parasite. They wrap Jane's body to take it to the lab so that the infestation won't spread to their base, and when Evelyn checks the bear, they see that there are more eggs inside its body. Federico comes over to tell the group that he's successfully called a rescue chopper, but Evelyn thinks they should call off the rescue and call the CDC, who's more knowledgeable in handling their case. She states that they need to quarantine themselves for the time being, but Adam and Federico think they need to get out as soon as possible. Adam then tries to reason with Evelyn, saying that she might be jumping to conclusions. However, she's certain about her theory, realizing that Jane was preventing them from leaving so they won't spread the parasites to the world. Federico gets agitated, confused about what the two are arguing about, so Evelyn tells him about the mammoth on the field site and the eggs inside it. Evelyn also adds that the same eggs are in Jane and the bear, and it's highly possible that the eggs are inside Ling and Bart, too. However, Federico refuses to believe them, so Evelyn walks past him to go to the radio. Not wanting Evelyn to stop the helicopter from coming over, Federico takes the gun and shoots the radio, assuming the leader position. Ling then comes over, looking worse, and once she throws up, the group helps her to bed. Then, before Bart puts a blanket over Ling's body, Evelyn checks underneath her clothes and sees the same infestation on her stomach, much to Federico's despair, So, Evelyn orders to seal off Ling's room, too. Adam calls the group over to the lab's glass window to see that the eggs inside Jane are starting to hatch and crawl all over the place, and Adam immediately takes some supplies to seal the lab as well. Meanwhile, Bart deals with the parasites in his arm, trying to dig through his flesh to remove them. However, when he takes out a piece of the scab, the bugs just retreat further into his arm. Bart thinks about burning it instead, but Adam tells him that it'll be riskier because they'd need to burn his arm to the bone to make sure there won't be any more eggs. As a last resort, Bart takes a butcher knife and looks at Adam, who immediately refuses to do what he's insinuating. With no other choice left, Bart says he'll cut off his own arm, but Evelyn stops him because they need to be more prepared to perform such an operation. They then prepare the necessary tools and inject Bart with morphine to ease the pain. While all that is going on, Federico checks his manhood and sees blood on it. Federico tries to stop Adam with a warning shot before he could take the first strike on Bart's arm, but he still continues with it. Then, after the knife cuts through Bart's arm, Adam immediately panics and gets queasy, leaving the knife on the arm, so Evelyn takes over and finishes the job. They knock the arm off the table, and Adam uses bug spray against the parasites. Unfortunately, it doesn't work, so he uses a lighter with the spray and successfully incinerates the bugs. Afterward, Federico rushes back inside and helps them take care of Bart. When Evelyn checks the medicine bags for more supplies, she finds her dad's journal and learns that they know about the parasites that are actually vertebrates and not bugs. She also finds the tapes for the camera, but they left the device inside the lab with Jane's body. Eager to learn more about the situation, Evelyn doesn't hesitate to return to the lab to get the camera, but Federico tries to stop her. However, Adam reasons with him, saying that it would help them get more information about what they're dealing with. Evelyn removes the cover from Jane's body, revealing that the parasites have eaten through her flesh. The two men outside see that the parasites from the bear's body have hatched and started crawling towards Evelyn, so Federico immediately tries to lock her in, but Adam lets her out. One parasite almost gets inside her skin, but Adam quickly takes it out and steps on it. Still, Federico isn't assured, so he points a gun at Evelyn and orders her to remove her clothes so they could check her thoroughly. Afterward, they play the tape right away, but before they could watch further, Federico sees a parasite crawling on the floor and yells for someone to kill it. Adam goes over to step on it, and as they follow where it came from, they see the lab in an even worse state, the parasites covering the entirety of the bear and crawling all over the place. Then, suddenly, Ling bangs on the door, pleading for help after the parasites manage to enter her room through the vents. The group is unsure what to do until Bart comes over, saying they should sedate Ling. While Adam gets the medicine kit, Evelyn checks on Bart's arm, only to see that the amputation didn't work and there are still eggs inside him. On the other hand, Federico takes the chance to shoot Ling, afraid that she'll tell the others he's infected, too. However, he lies and tells the group his girlfriend was suffering and asked him to kill her. Unfortunately, when Evelyn checks on Ling, she sees that she's still alive. Bart punches Federico and asks Adam for the morphine, realizing he has no choice but to sacrifice himself. He plans to overdose with Ling while the group runs to the helicopter for sanctuary once they burn down the station. Evelyn and Adam suggest taking their clothes off so they could check each other for parasites before they leave, but Federico immediately becomes defensive, refusing to undress because he knows he's infected. Aware that Federico is infected, the two try to stop him, but he points the gun at them, desperate to leave. However, before Federico could shoot, Dr. Crouppen appears from behind and shoots him. Evelyn runs over to her dad, asking if he's infected, but he says no. Evelyn and Adam continue their plan of burning the place, so they go back inside and pour gasoline all over the station. Then, when Adam jokes about how Evelyn probably wishes she followed her father's orders not to come to the trip, she realizes that her dad knows more than he's trying to let on. So, Evelyn runs back to the computer and watches the rest of the tape, realizing that her dad infected himself with the parasites so he could go back to civilization and spread it to the rest of the world. That way, everyone will take the threat of global warming more seriously. Now aware of what Dr. Crouppen intends to do, the two try to stop him, but he doesn't give up, saying that nobody cares about the environment until something drastic happens. At the same time, he mentions that Evelyn didn't believe him at first, too. Knowing that they're against him, Dr. Crouppen locks Adam and Evelyn inside the station, while he goes out to the rescue chopper alone. So, the two escape through a window and rush over to the chopper, but Dr. Crouppen is determined to leave them behind. Adam grabs onto the chopper to stop them, trying to shout at the pilots that the scientist is infected. The pilots then attempt to land Adam back to safety, but Dr. Crouppen won't let them. Unfortunately, Adam slips and falls to the ground, and that's when Evelyn takes the gun to shoot them until they crash and burn. After that, Evelyn runs to Adam, still hoping he could be saved, but he's already dying. With no other choice, Evelyn hides inside their old chopper until another rescue team arrives the next day and gets her back to safety. Then, when Evelyn gets back home, she warns the world about the parasites and fights against global warming, but still, some people think it's a hoax. After some time, a local hunter calls over his dog that's eating a dead bird that migrated from the Arctic with parasites crawling all over its carcass. The dog then goes back to its owner, and they drive back to the city. This movie ends here. Thanks for watching.